Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Goes Writers. So tonight's a little different. You'll notice that there will be no Jim tonight. Jim is working. So I think it was working. I don't remember. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he's currently down in Fiji or whatever it is, surfing in the Olympics. I don't remember. So thinking of Jim as a big surfer, that seems like a good idea to me. I think that would be fun. Jim. Yeah, I can see Jim as a surfer. Yeah, let's go with that. So Jim's surfing in the Olympics right now. We're hoping he medals. And that left me alone tonight. Now, I know he didn't show up. He was here, but wasn't here last week because he was missing a monitor or a camera. So, but tonight, it's no Jim at all. No voice of Jim from above. It's just me. But we are going to do a recap of the San Diego Comicon, all of the announcements from the major studios. Okay, all the announcements are the ones that caught my attention. I mean, because there were some announcements from some studios, and I'll admit that I'm not watching Vampire Lestat, even though I was a huge fan of the books when I was younger. I read Vampire Lestat. I read Interview with a Vampire and the Mayfair Witches and even some of her other work under other names. But I kind of moved out of that and moved into other things. So, yeah, not really following that. So I don't have any information on that. But what I do have information on is stuff like Star Trek, Dexter, The Penguin, and Marvel and DC and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to give you the recap so that you don't have to sit down and read all the articles and stuff like that. Hello, Ed. Good to see you, sir. So we're going to recap San Diego Con. We may not go a full hour. We're going to go until, I run out of material and you guys run out of questions. But if you have questions, feel free to ask and we will get to them. But we are going to kick things off jumping in to San Diego Con news with Dexter. Now, some of you guys know I have a personal place in my heart for the show, having actually been on an episode. So to me, Dexter is like my family. They're not. I mean, I was on one episode. I played a dead body. But I got to spend time with Michael C. Hall and the rest of the cast, and they were all super sweet. I was there an entire day. They probably couldn't pick me out of a lineup, but I enjoyed it. It was a memory I cherish. So let's talk about Dexter. Well, the Dexter panel was for the new upcoming show, Dexter Original Sin, which is a prequel series. And they had the whole cast there. Christian Slater was there, stuff like that. Patrick Gibson, who's playing the younger version of Dexter, is there as well. And then they bring out one more person. They said, we've got one more person here. So they bring him out, and it's Michael C. Hall. And it's like, oh, wow. Michael C. Hall, that's pretty amazing. Okay, I'm not sure what to do with that one. Anyway, Michael C. Hall comes on, and he's narrating the new show, which is terrific. You got him. No big deal. Jim hiding from me. No Jim tonight. Yeah, there's no Jim tonight, but it's just me. So Michael C. Hall comes out, and he's going to narrate the show kind of the same way they did with the Wonder Years and stuff. But what happens next is they announce that there's going to be another Dexter series called Dexter Resurrection. And it's going to pick up from the 2021 series Dexter New Blood. And it's going to be with the modern day Dexter. It's going to be what he's doing now. Is expected to launch in summer of 2025. And Hall made a comment about the series saying, I can't wait to watch this show, the new one. To a certain degree, I have sense of what's coming. He's talking about the prequel series. I spent so much time with this character, and to go back to have those sort of imaginative blanks filled in this Technicolor show, it's amazing. So he's looking forward to, because when you're an actor, they give you some of the background, but they don't give you all the background of the character. And there's certain actors who are method actors, and they want to fill in all that detail. They want to make it understand why somebody is doing something. They want to understand it. So now he gets to go back and see it in actual action, see the live action version of it. So that's pretty cool. Ed says, can you quickly tell me who Dexter, or is it too complicated for a show? Dexter is, as a baby, Dexter's mother was killed by a serial killer while he was there, and he was left in the blood and was found by a cop who raised him as his own along with his daughter. And he noticed while growing up that Dexter had some tendencies that would lead him to being a very dangerous person. So instead of trying to shut him down or whatever, his adopted father, tried to channel that by giving him a code to live with of ethics, a code of ethics that basically said, yes, you can kill, but you're only going to kill people who have killed. You're only going to kill those who kill others. So basically, he turns him into a vigilante in a sense. He goes on to become a blood splatter expert. So he works for his cops. His sister, Deborah, is a cop as well. And it's basically the story of a guy who is a serial killer, but for the right reasons. It's a very interesting show. So they're trying to make him into kind of a hero in the show, in a sense. And at one point, they recognize it and even have somebody in the show make him into a comic book character. And there's comic book art by Tone Rodriguez. And this all happens in the second season, episode 5. And in episode 5, I'm the dead body on the comic shop floor. I play a comic book writer. So, yeah, both Tone and I are in the show. And it was great because Tone got me the job after he and I had traveled to Texas together. So, but that's a story for another day. But Dexter it's a really dramatic series. A lot of great actors came into it. James Remar plays his father. Michael C. Hall is Dexter. Jimmy Smits is on for a season. John Lithgow is on for a season. David Carradine is on? Not David Carradine. Keith Carradine is on for a season. It's a really good show. Now, it starts off great. First 2 seasons are awesome. They get a little weaker as they go, and it had a horrible ending, but then they fixed the ending with the last miniseries, Dexter's New Blood. So, worth checking out if you got time. It's on Showtime. I'm not sure what that translates to streaming service-wise, but it's worth checking out. Okay. Moving over, another story for a guy who wasn't supposed to be at Comic-Con. James Gunn made a pretty big splash. He zoomed in from the Superman set to show off a new teaser trailer for the animated series Creature Commandos. And you can find that online on YouTube. It's one of the only trailers that actually, there's a couple, but that's one of the trailers out there. He also revealed a December release date for Creature Commandos, and that he and Peter Safran decided when they were going to come back that DC needed a new logo. Except they knew what they wanted to do was not necessarily a new logo, but go back to a classic. So they are going back to what's called the DC Bullet, which is the circle with the little stars. It looks like the bottom of a bullet. They're going back to that, and everything's going to have that. It'll be on the comics, it'll be on the animation, it'll be on the video games, it'll be everywhere, including the TV shows. So when you see the trailer for Creature Commandos, it has the DC bullet and then says Studios, so DC Studios. The logo, like I said, will be used across everything. The 7-episode series of Creature Commandos, it takes place after the Suicide Squad movie, and we learned that Amanda Waller, Viola Davis, is not allowed to use human prisoners as part of Task Force X anymore. So she decided to skate around the words of the law and use the non-human ones. Rick Flag Sr. shows up, voiced by Frank Grillo, and he's brought in to lead this new group called Task Force M, as in monsters. And we get to meet Weasel, who we met in Suicide Squad, G.I. Robot. Now, both of them are going to be voiced by Sean Gunn, but Weasel just makes sounds. So, the Bride, who will be voiced by Indira Varma, Dr. Phosphorus by Alan Tudyk, Frankenstein by David Harbour, and Nina Mazursky by Zoe Chan. Gunn also confirmed that he was almost done with the filming of Superman and immediately would move over to Peacemaker Season 2, which is filming next door on the same studio lot. So, all right, moving on. The universe of The Boys is expanding again. We know that The Boys Season 5 is going to be wrapping up that series. And we know that there's the Gen V college series. There's talk about a series being set in Mexico. But now we just found out there's a new prequel series coming called Vought Rising that's going to star Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy and Aya Cash as Stormfront, both of them reprising their roles from the main series. Ackles made an appearance on the Hall H stage in San Diego to thunderous applause, of course. And Cash announced that she was in the series in a video. The Vought Rising, and there's also the Boys animated series Diabolical. But this is going to be set in the 1950s at New York, and we'll see as basically Vought is coming up and the heroes are starting. So we're going to follow younger versions of what was the name of that team? Soldier Boy's team. So can't remember the name off the top of my head. Ackles said at Comicon that the show will follow the humble yet diabolical beginnings of Vought. It was also announced that Ackles would be returning as a series regular in the upcoming 5th and final season of The Boys, something that was kind of teased in the end of season 4. Sergeant Hero Rising Sergeant Giratina. Hello, Dan Wickline. You remember me, don't you? The name doesn't ring a bell. And that's nothing. I hope I don't insult with that. It's just not clicking. So give me a little more and I'll see if I remember. All right, moving on. You know how at the end of I Am Legend, when Will Smith characters dies? Yeah. Turns out not so much. And they're actually going to make a sequel of I Am Legend, but they're going to pick up from where the alternate ending left off, where Will's character lives and things don't go too well for humanity. Well, Smith will be back and will be joined by Michael B. Jordan once they can find a director. But Goldsmith says that there will be some good news shortly. He went on to explain that the world returns in a way that's kind of spectacular, an exciting playground for all of us. And he said, this is not your father's I Am Legend, which I find hilarious because my father's I Am Legend starred Vincent Price and was called The Last Man on Earth. And my original I Am Legend starred Charlton Heston and was called The Omega Man. Let's see. Sergeant says, I used to be Avenger Rising, but since 20 days ago, I decided to evolve my channel into something more. something that gives me more confidence as a YouTuber. Well, very cool. Good luck with that. And let's see. In Black Adam, the prisoner where Black Adam was temporarily held. Let's see. Was that Amanda Waller's? Yes, that was Belle Reeves. So that's Amanda. That was like an underground portion of it. She's got a lot of really screwed up stuff going on in there. But it's good to have you back, Rising. So, all right, let's go on with other news. Again, we're kind of covering all the San Diego Con news. So if you have any questions, like Dev's question, then feel free to ask. With the August 16th release of Alien Romulus, filmmaker Fede Alvarez was at Comic-Con this weekend and spoke of his entry into the Alien franchise, describing it as a pretty intense ride. He said, 45 years of great science fiction horror ideas combined in 2 hours, plus more of the ones that I bring myself. He added that he hopes to take the franchise back to its true form in a way, to its original form, to be really honest about what this truly is and what the first movie was. Half of the critics didn't like it. The other half saw merit in it, and everybody agreed that it was the most horrific, terrifying experience they had in theaters. He went on to say, that's what made it was, and that is what made it grow and made it a massive hit. It was truly something people hadn't seen before, and it was a pure horror movie. So fans of the original Alien, get ready. It looks like this one's going to be right up that same alley. Dev says, you want Robert Kirkman to direct I Am Legend too? I don't know what Robert Kirkman would be like as a director. I don't know if he's directed anything. I don't remember it. So I'll hold off on that one. So Sergeant says, also, do you know when the ticket sales for Joker 2 start going out? I heard they start next month, those September, but I likely to know the specific date. I don't off the top of my head. Joker 2 tickets on sale. Yeah, they're just speculating it right now. So there's no official date yet, but they're saying it's going to be in August or September. So if I get an official date, I will let you guys know. All right. Then we have if you guys are fans of Futurama, the upcoming 12th season has some pretty interesting guest voices coming up. Danny Trejo, Tom Kenny, SpongeBob, Cara Delevingne from the first Suicide Squad movie, Tim Gunn from The Fashion Guy, Bill Nye the Science Guy, Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks, LeVar Burton from Star Trek, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now, most of these people are going to be playing themselves, but Tom Kenny is going to be playing a gamester alien, and Danny Trejo will actually be appearing as Bender's cousin, Doblando. So, I want to make sure that a friend of mine doesn't get in trouble hanging out with the wrong people this October. Yeah, I can understand that. Hello, Anthony. You want to know my middle name? Kind of an odd question. Any particular reason? Okay, moving on to rounding up the Star Trek news. Any Star Trek fans in the chat? All right, we've got Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We'll be adding Cillian O'Sullivan as a legacy character named Dr. Roger Corby. Now, Corby was in the original series, was a renowned archaeologist and scientist that was played by Michael Strong in the first series. Also, we learned that the fifth and final series of Lower Decks will debut on October 24th, and the season will have 10 episodes. They're currently discussing the possibility of a Star Trek musical after the success of the live action success of Strange New Worlds episode Substance Rhapsody. There were some good songs in that one too, and Spock could really sing. Oh, what's your novel's name? I've written many novels, but my Lucius Fogg series, Deadly Creatures is the first one, Malicious Intent is the second, and Educated Corpses is the third. And if you're talking about graphic novel, the one up on Backer Kit right now is Karma, Volume 2. So let's see, Forever. Geez, Dr. Forever. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name, but do you think it was a bad move for Robert Downey Jr. to take the villain role? We will definitely get to that. Let's save that for when I get to the Marvel news, okay? Okay, so continuing with the Star Trek news, they are also in early development of a potential live-action Star Trek comedy series that's being written by Justin Simeon and Tawny Newsome, who voice characters in Lower Decks. Now, they're just working on the pilot right now, but in the series, this group of Federation outsiders will be serving a gleaming resort planet, and then they find out that their day-to-day exploits are being broadcast to the entire quadrant. So that's the plan for that series. The upcoming Starfleet Academy is bringing in some legacy actors for the new series. From Discovery, they're bringing Tig Notaro, Oded Fair, and Mary Weissman, and from Voyager, we'll get Robert Picardo. They join a cast that already includes Holly Hunter, Karis Brooks, Bella Shepard, George Hawkins, Karam Dain, Zoe Steiner, Gina Yashir, and of course, Paul Giamatti. And finally, they released a trailer for Star Trek Section 31, an original film that's going to feature Michelle Yeoh reprising her Discovery role as Philippa Georgiou. The cast will include Miku Martineau from Honor Society, who's going to be playing a young version of Philippa, Omar Hardwick from Power, Casey Rawl from Hannibal, Sam Richards from Ted Lasso, Sven Rogrock from One Piece, Robert Kaczynski from Pacific Rim, Humberly Gonzalez from Ginny and Georgia, and James Hiroyuki Liao from Barry. So, do you have any library cards? I'm just going to keep going here, Anthony. I'm not sure what you're getting at. So, sounds like a ripoff of the Orville. It could be, or a cross between Orville and Lower Decks, but we'll see what they can come up with. This is kind of interesting. The first episode of the new Batman the Caped Crusader animated series was shown at Comic-Con this weekend, and it came with some interesting news. Now, when they made the original announcement of the cast, they gave a bunch of names, but they only linked characters to a couple, like Hamish Linklater is going to be Batman, Christina Ricci is going to be Catwoman, etc. But the rest of them were just kind of in there. Well, Oswalda Cobblepot is a new character. It's a gender-swapped version of the Penguin, so they're going to change that up, and it's going to be voiced by Academy Award nominee Minnie Driver. Now, why are they gender-swapping the Penguin? Well, they don't give a reason, but I can kind of guess that maybe they want to kind of differentiate the character from the live-action Penguin series. You know, because we're going to have Oswald getting a lot of airtime starting in September at the same time this show's coming out. So maybe they just wanted to be very different. They went, well, we'll just make a female Oswalda. So that starts on August 1st, 10 episodes on Amazon Prime. We got another trailer for The Penguin, speaking of which, this weekend, and it feels more and more like The Sopranos. You know, we even get introduced to Oswald's mother. So, and that was always a big connection on The Sopranos. Now, the Penguin takes place following the events of Matt Reeves' The Batman, like 1 week later, and will lead right into season 2. Take care, Sergeant. But we also meet Sophia Falcone, Kristen Milotti, and we discover that she's already kind of taken on a persona that she has in the comics as the Hangman. And this was part of the Dark Victory series that Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale wrote, where she finds out her father's been killed and starts going after the people she thinks killed him and murdering him. And in here, we find out that she's already become the Hangman, was arrested and put into Arkham for a while, but she's been reformed. So that's probably one of the best things from the clips. Matt Reeves describes the Penguin as a character stepping into a power vacuum in Gotham who is totally underestimated, but has a fire inside of him. Reeves also let it be known that when they were designing the character of Oswald, Harvey Weinstein was one of the visual models for the Penguin's look, and the Penguin would also be back in the Batman 2. Now, originally, the story we're going to get in the Penguin, Matt Reeves had planned it to be the opening of the second Batman movie, but realized that was going to take up a lot of information, or a lot of time in the movie. So, hang on a second. There you go, Anthony. It's on the screen now. So that would take up too much time in the movie to get to the plot they want to tell. So all of this is getting its own series. So we're going to basically see what happens to Gotham immediately after what the Riddler did, and then move right into Gotham 2 or Batman 2. So I think for now, until they give us a title, it should be Batman 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. By the way, the Batman sequel will begin shooting next year. All right, guys, it is time to get to the Marvel news. This is all the big news from Marvel. It starts with there are some things I didn't cover. I didn't cover the Kite Man series. I don't have anything on the Lord of Rings yet, Bauer trailer. I haven't had a chance to see that. I kind of had a very busy weekend, so I just picked some of the key stuff. But I will take a look at that, Ed, and we can talk about it on Thursday. All right, so they start off with, their panel is hilarious. They start off with a full choir and Deadpool running around the crowd as they're singing Like a Prayer by Madonna. Then from there, they bring out the cast for Captain America Brave New World. Harrison Ford comes out and pretends to Hulk out. So he does the whole, ah. So that's on screen, which is nice. Also, he wanted to make it clear that had Marvel asked him, he would have grown a mustache. So all the reports out there saying that he refused is wrong. Marvel decided to explain the different look of the character by the missing mustache. And you could, I mean, looking at it that way, if you took the mustache off of William Hurt, you could kind of see where you're close to Harrison Ford, where it might not be. If Harrison had the mustache, it would look very different. So I understand what they're doing there. The footage was shown that included confirmation of that multiple countries are trying to mine the giant celestial, Tiamat, that was left in the Indian Ocean at the end of the Eternals. So all the people who are saying, oh my God, where are all the what's going on with the Eternals? Why are nobody talking about this giant celestial sticking up out of the water? They're finally getting to it. Yeah, I know I probably have a bot, but the problem is I don't have the authority to kick him. So plus he's making it seem like it's very popular here. So what the hell? So the different countries are fighting over mining the celestial for a unique element. And that element is, we're all familiar with this, adamantium. That's right. The stuff that's inside Wolverine, his bones are laced with it, his claws are laced with it. Adamantium. So basically, we've now got adamantium and vibranium in the Marvel Universe after this. And they're on par with each other. So, but where vibranium is only available in Wakanda or Atlantis, this is going to be available to whoever gets control of Tiamat. Giancarlo Esposito announced who he's playing, and everybody was speculating he's going to be G.W. Bridge, he's going to be this person, that person. And he came out and said nobody guessed who he was going to be. And you're right. Nobody did, because nobody would have guessed this. And he said he's excited to play this character. He's playing Sidewinder. Well, the guys let you do a little head scratching going, wait, who's Sidewinder? I'm a Marvel fan. Who's Sidewinder? Sidewinder is the head of the Serpent Society. So, yeah, they were going to not have the Serpent Society in anymore. You know, it was thought they were taking him out, but instead he's back in. And, yeah, it's Sidewinder, also known as, I had his name here a second ago, Seth Volker. And basically he has no superpowers. He's got a snake-looking costume. He made up a group of people in snake-like costumes. And his only power is he's got a teleporting cloak. So he's like halfway into a Harry Potter character. He can teleport with a cloak instead of turning invisible. So, yeah. That's he's playing Sidewinder. So there is still some elements of the Serpent Society in here, but maybe not the Seth Rollins version that we saw that everybody says is now cut. Okay, what else did we get from that? There is a clip that they show that we get more of Red Hulk. We see his face, and he does look like Harrison Ford. But he's also transforming right in front of the podium at the White House. So that probably explains that scene in the trailer where something is kind of busting its way through the White House. It's probably Red Hulk. I think a lot of people guessed that. Now, this movie will be in theaters February 14th, and this is the next Marvel movie. So besides that little one in the theater right now, that's the big one. All right. Let me get a drink here real quick. All right. They also showed a teaser trailer for Thunderbolts, which has not gone online. But we get the tagline, be careful who you assemble, which is really kind of cool, kind of playing off of the Avengers. We see Yelena, Florence Pugh, going to see her father, Alexei, David Harbour, who's kind of just being a couch potato. He's kind of let himself go again. And she's talking to him and actually admits that she's been kind of trying to lose herself in contract killings and stuff like that because she really doesn't have a purpose in life. She ends up getting an assignment that sends her to a lab where there's a bunch of other people already there, and these are the Thunderbolts. Basically, it's Ghost, it's Taskmaster, it's U.S. Agent. And while they're there and they start trying to kill each other, this very calm-looking guy comes out in what looks like a lab coat or maybe a hospital gown named Bob. Well, this is likely the Sentry, whose real name is Bob, and it's Louis Pullman's character. And if you don't know who the Sentry is, this is basically a character Marvel retconned into their universe that's for basically Superman. But he's got a split personality. He's got a lot of mental issues. And they actually tried to wipe his memory at one point, and the memory of him with everybody else in the world. Kind of, No Way Home thing. So we're going to get the Sentry in this. So that's why I still think it's going to be Thunderbolts versus Sentry, but we'll see. instead of just Thunderbolts asterisks. We also get to see Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, at a fancy dinner party, and we realize that she's being spied on by Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan. Now, the footage is got kind of an interesting description. People are referring to it as very dark-hued and even trippy, and unlike anything else we've seen in comics or in comic book movies. So, should be interesting. This film is set to release May 5th, 2025, which should be around New Comic Book Day. Then they moved into the Fantastic Four, and we found out they have a subtitle, First Steps. And to most people's surprise, they actually had footage, which I want to say doesn't make sense to me, because they have been saying that the Fantastic Four starts filming this Tuesday after the con. So how do they have footage of the Fantastic Four? One of the scenes has Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards teaching children in a science class. Another one has him and Eben Moss-Bachrach getting ready to go into space and talking to the press. We see Sue Storm, played by Vanessa Kirby. We see Johnny Storm, played by Joseph Quinn. We're getting all that stuff, but it looks like a 1960s world. They're even filming it in the 4:3 ratio, like you would normally get on an old TV set, or the movies from the 60s and stuff were made in. So they're making it like it's a 1960s movie, which I think is really kind of cool. But yeah, that was just some of the stuff they're doing with it. Lost my place again. Also, they show the Fantastic Car, and they had like a drone version of the Fantastic Car floating around Hall H. We see Ben after transition, into the thing, but only in silhouette, on a dating show that looks like the dating game from the 70s. And the whole trailer has this feeling of light. It's going to be, that future 60s thing. So it's not the 60s we lived in. It's a futuristic 60s. The one we were supposed to get on the Jetsons and stuff. Also, they're really pushing the sense of family. But the big reveal is they do that. They show the logo with First Steps under it. Then they cut back to somebody, like you're standing inside of an office building and you're looking out the big windows at the edge. And suddenly you see these giant eyes as Galactus is looking in. And you're like, oh yeah, he's going to be big. That's good. Now, I don't think he's going to be celestial big, but he's going to be like eyeballs the size of a story in a building. So now they're using 8mm cameras they found at a pawn shop. Also, this was interesting. The Fantastic Four will be seen in both of the upcoming Avengers films. I expected to see them in Secret Wars, but not in the 5th. So that's pretty interesting, because this may be moving forward faster than I thought. It's going to be more like the Endgame, Infinity War Endgame setup, where it just continues. So, and getting to that, the really big news for Marvel Studios out of the panel was the upcoming 5th and 6th installments of the Avengers. While the studios had a hard time keeping writers, directors, and even one of the major stars, I think they've decided to move forward by moving back. And by moving back, I mean they're bringing back Joe and Anthony Russo, the guys that directed both Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and did Captain America Civil War, which was kind of like Avengers 2.5. So they're coming back, along with one of the two writers who worked on those movies, Stephen McFeely. Now, he usually works with Marcus, but I don't know why they're not bringing them both back. I'm sure we'll find that out later on, or Marcus will join up soon too. And while Secret Wars is keeping the title that was given, Avengers and is going to be moved to 2027, May of 2027. There's a new title for Avengers 5. Now, it's no longer the Kang Dynasty. The new subtitle is Doomsday. Now, this includes, this basically is the introduction to one of the company's most popular villains, Doctor Doom, a character that they've been screaming for, fans have been screaming for. Now, a lot of this is probably a move to kind of diminish the importance of Kang. I still expect them to get another actor to play Kang, but his role will become smaller or, less important. And they've had to do this, of course, because Jonathan Major and his legal issues, and that they had fired him. But and in this sense, Doom makes a lot of sense because he was a major part of the more recent Secret Wars. He was also in the original Secret Wars, but that was the Beyonder and something different. But as well as being tied to the Fantastic Four, which is the major franchise they're about to announce or launch, which makes me wonder if we'll actually kind of see Doctor Doom as a cameo in the Fantastic Four. Then we'll get him in the Avengers and stuff. Like if we're covering the history of the Fantastic Four in First Steps, will we get stuff with Doctor Doom? And now they've cast Doctor Doom, so that's possible. And this is, of course, what stunned the convention hall. And you've probably seen it everywhere because it's blown a lot of people away. And yeah, some people are negative about it, but I see a lot of possibility here. Robert Downey Jr. will be playing Doctor Doom, but he's not going to be Tony Stark. He's going to be Victor Von Doom. So this is likely a multiverse version of Von Doom, possibly even from the universe that this Fantastic Four comes from. And this makes a lot of sense. And it's going to end up being a very emotional choice because think about it. If you have a big showdown between Doom and the Avengers and his mask comes off and they suddenly see the face of their fallen comrade, that's going to make every single one of them pause. Maybe that's what changes the tide in the Doomsday. His mask comes off. We see it's Robert Downey Jr. and Spider-Man can't do it because he thinks it's Mr. Stark. Potential there. So Avengers Doomsday, May of 2026. Avengers Secret Wars, May of 2027. So that is Marvel getting back on track. We didn't get anything from any of the TV shows. They are saving that for D23. We didn't get any teases for Agatha or any of that stuff. But again, that's all good for D23. This was about the movies. And says that's exactly what I told my wife was going to happen as soon as they announced it. Yep, I feel that's what they're going to do. All right, one last thing we're going to cover, and it's not really from San Diego, but there's been so much negativity towards Marvel. I think when something good happens, they should get a strut a little bit. And in this case, I'm going to strut for them. Deadpool and Wolverine is doing kind of well in the theater right now. And that's got to make Marvel pretty happy after the kind of hit or miss nature of the last few films. The film has taken in an estimated, now this is likely to go up or change a little bit when we get the full numbers on Monday. But right now the studios are estimating it as taking in $205 million domestically, $438 million worldwide. This breaks a few records. It's the highest R-rated opening of all time, both worldwide and domestic, beating out Deadpool from 2016, which only had 264 worldwide and 132 domestic. So it's over 70 million more than Deadpool in domestic alone. It's also the highest grossing R-rated film for Disney, surpassing Pretty Woman. So Pretty Woman, which was popular and was out for a long time, this has already passed it in just the opening weekend. It's the biggest global opening since Avatar: The Way of Water, just behind by 0.7 million, which again means this could change. They could pass Avatar if the numbers change. It's the highest domestic July opening, passing Lion King. With this film, the MCU has now passed 30 billion with just 34 titles. That's an amazing record, making it the highest grossing franchise of all time. All 34 of those movies, by the way, debuted at number one domestically. It's the highest domestic opening of 2024. It's the highest opening since Spider-Man No Way Home, which was 260 million. It's the 8th highest domestic opening of all time. Not R-rated. This is an R-rated movie that broke into the top 10 of best openings. That's insane. It's the 5th highest superhero opening. It's the 2nd highest opening for a third film in a franchise, behind the Avengers. By the way, Disney now owns 16 of the top 20 domestic openings of all time, with 11 of those being Marvel movies. And just to really nail home how well this film did, its domestic opening is currently $1 million behind the total box office worldwide of the Marvels. So not even counting the worldwide box office, just the domestic box office is literally 1 million away from passing everything the Marvels made. Its worldwide box office is only 38 million away from passing the total box office of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which it'll probably do by Friday. So yeah, movie's doing pretty well. All right, that is all the news I've got. We've got a few minutes left. Do you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, things you would like to add about all the stuff I just laid out? How do these box office numbers compare to Marvel's most popular movie openers? Just curious. It's only, like I said, one spot behind the Avengers third movie. It's pretty high up there. Let's see if I can pull up the actual list. CU domestic opening. Oh, thank you, Box Office Mojo. And we'll sort by opening. Okay, it's going to be hard to say based on the fact that the movie is still in theaters, so they don't have an official, or still the weekend. But Avengers Endgame was number one with 357 million. Spider-Man No Way Home at number two with 260. Avengers Infinity War is at 257. The Avengers itself was at 207. Black Panther is at 202. So it's between the Avengers and Black Panther. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty amazing. And if you look at lifetime totals of movies, this is just kind of mean, but it's already passed Captain Marvel's, the original first Captain Marvel's domestic total. No, it hasn't yet. Those are domestic totals. So for the length of the film, the entire time it was in, this one weekend, it's already built the domestic totals for Thor: The Dark World, Black Widow, Thor, Ant-Man, Captain America: The First Avenger, Eternals, Incredible Hulk, The Marvels, Spider-Man. No, that's a re-release. So yeah, it passed all of those. I'm not saying in their opening weekend, and just total. So pretty good for a dying franchise. Yeah. Yeah, since Marvel's dead and nobody wants to see him anymore, that's amazing. Somebody came out and bought a lot of tickets. It was probably Robert Downey Jr. Maybe it was all just the Hugh Jackman fans that want to see his abs. I don't know. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, stay offline because there's a lot of spoilers. There's a huge number of cameos in the movie, and if you don't want to know who they are, they get spoiled pretty easily online. There are some major websites with headlines that spoil. This person returned for this movie, and he talks about it. It's like, no, don't do that. Did you know there was an extended edition of the original Spider-Man 2? I just saw it last week and was floored by the extra scene. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2? Huh. I might have seen it on Blu-ray. I'm not sure. I have to look back at that. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and we're going to wrap this up then, unless there's any other questions. Oh, before I go, and I think Ed's the only one left in here, maybe somebody else. Remember, Karma is currently on Backer Kit right now. It's doing pretty well. Got to tell you, we're doing pretty well. It's not quite at the goal yet, but we're 65% of the way there. So we set a pretty big goal. I was surprised at how much they set the goal for, but we're going to do a lot more promotional stuff. I'm going to do some more live streams. We got a live stream coming up on Wednesday in the afternoon on Backer Kit. It'll be myself, Fabrice Sapolsky, Fish Lee, Sarah White. We're all going to be talking about our projects. I'm going to be on Talking Shop tomorrow, but not as the interviewer, but as the interviewee. Jay's going to be interviewing me. I will be doing a couple other interviews coming up, and I'll let you guys know all about that. So, but yeah, if you haven't checked out the Karma backing project yet, go up to any of my social media pages. What I'm doing is I'm posting, because part of the stories are pulled from my days as a photographer. I'm sharing some of the photos I took over the years of different models on my social media each day, a different model each day, and then linking to the Backer Kit. So if you go to any of my social medias, I'm on Threads, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter. Yes, I still call it Twitter. You can then link to the Backer Kit. And if you haven't backed yet, I would really appreciate you taking a look, telling your friends about it too. If you have backed it, please tell your friends about it, because we really need to do a big push to get it over the line. We still got a chunk to go. So thank you again for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good weekend and you enjoyed all the San Diego news. I will be back on Thursday, and we can talk about any of this stuff. I'll probably break down exactly what RDJ's return as Doom is going to mean. That's probably the topic for the show. So I will see you all then. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great night. Take care, everybody.